Hey, what's going on, Archons? Welcome to KeyThoughts, my weekly musings on the great game of KeyForge. This week, I am coming at you with a specific deck because that's actually where my thoughts have been lately. I took down my first sealed event in quite some time, actually. It's been a minute since I got to play some sealed, and I happened to get this juicy number when I did play. So let's get into this deck. It is a Dark Tidings deck, and I have to say I really like it. One of my favorite Dark Tidings decks I think I've played. Has 20 creatures, 11 Ember Pips. And looking at it from the classic BDQ method, which you know I'm all about right now, you can see that the deck has quite a few creatures in both Saurian and Star Alliance. So it obviously has like some amazing stuff here. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8 creatures in Star Alliance, and then there's 2, 4, 6, 8 creatures in Saurian. And then you have Shadows coming in a nice bursty sort of support role. I think I rarely called Shadows over and over. It was always one-time use. That being said, there is only 4 creatures there, so it did not lend credence to that way of being done. I actually found myself with this deck quite often not cycling at all. Like once the board came in a strong way in establishing a main house, I would just call it over and over again. And oddly enough, it was not calling Star Alliance over and over, which you may think based on what you see here. I did get one chance to pull off the Hing's Reap. It wasn't great, but I mean, Comm Officer Gross has the draw pip, Light of the Archons has the capture pip, Wipe Clear has the damage, Magister Vita has the capture, and then Cornichon Cornicin Octavian has the pip itself, the extra Ember pip. I really like this deck for what it did. It did my favorite thing that exists within KeyForge, actually, and that's what I'm thinking about. But before I get into that, let's talk about the card of the week. And the card of the week, you may think is Diplomat Agung, but no, it's not. The card of the week is actually Magistra's Vita. You may exalt a friendly non-Saurian creature if you do Reap with it. Just a fantastic card that does, it just allows you to get that means to the end. You're getting to Reap with Magistra's Vita, and then you're also getting to Reap with another creature. You are putting an Ember on the board, but there's some things that exist, which I'll go over here, that make it really nice counter. So that being said, my favorite thing about this deck was, in fact, the Diplomat Agungs, but it wasn't the Star Alliance. It was get them on the board, they're a problem, make them have to be dealt with, and then on top of that, you have things like Gross and Hings, which your opponent instantly goes into getting rid of because they are those cards that cause problems. Not to mention also a CXO Tabor, which is as well causing your opponent to go, I need to deal with this. And if they're not dealt with, you know what, I could call Star Alliance and do some shenanigans. But if they are left alone, this is where things start getting crazy. I would play out my dinos, which, as you can see, aside from Consul Primus, they're all substantial bodies. Not easy to deal with. The double Vita was the cheat code. That's how I got such a good main house use out of them, is they're big bodies. I could call a bunch of them over and over again, and as a result, I would go Vita into an Agung, into making another Agung, basically a dino, and then making another one, and so on and so forth. And that's how that just went, and I could just do this crazy daisy chain reaping effect with my board. And here's the most fun part of this combo, is then you go into the Council Primus, you move one Ember from a creature to another. So whatever creature Magistra Vita hit, you now have Consul Primus take that Ember, put it on your opponent's creature, and then if you have Censor Philo on the board, guess what? You can take out that creature, no damage is dealt to Philo, just the most amazing combo synergy with this deck. I haven't experienced something this strong in quite some time, and especially in Dark Tidings like this. I absolutely adore the way this worked. It was so much fun. And then with that, let's say Philo is not on play, you have things like Mug to deal with that. So you can either kill the creature or just get the Ember off and deal 2 damage to it. And then you have things like you're stealing, you're bursting into shadows and just getting some Ember control here. It's really great. And then also there is Reach Advantage, which I actually almost preferred as a Tide mechanic than the Ember control. I didn't feel the need to use it as Ember control that much, although it wasn't out of the realm of possibility considering there was 2 of them. Wipe Clear, I almost always discarded. I did not want to deal 1 damage to each creature or destroy each upgrade. It did not feel relevant, especially when my opponent in a sealed context was showing Sanctum on their side and I knew they could potentially burst from a cleansing wave. So I actually discarded this card every single time I got it without hesitation. Same with Sororium. I could not have this card. This card never played 1 time. Discarded every time. Recognize that situation because being a 2-powered creature with Diplomat Agung, that could be the lowest power and I would not be able to get off my daisy chain. So it just was not worth it to be on the board. Shoulder Id was a nice little taunt thing to throw down. Obviously Sea Urchin was just used for the play, get it out, and then potentially Seeker Needle. Trickle Down Theory is a great card because I could use it on my other turn. So I really was enjoying using this deck in this way where I use this as this support house, and then it raised the tide as well. Like I rarely had to take chains for the tide, and then Espeon also led credence to my being able to use another creature. So I could literally be in Star Alliance, play this, go into a Magistra's Vita from that, go into, you know, other, and just start getting to do other things. It was a lot of fun. This deck was a really fun deck to play. Great Ember generation. It was true. That 27 is a very accurate number. You just have a little bit of everything. Then I got the Borrow as well so I could steal artifacts. Chef's kiss to this deck. I really enjoyed playing it, and I just wanted to talk about how it did such amazing things. And this is a deck that I identified. I mentioned this on the last Help from Future Self, that I went into the sealed using the BDQ method of identifying my main house, support, and burst. And it turned out that I identified both Star Alliance and Saurian as a main house, but I realized that Saurian was the true main house and Star Alliance was actually supporting, just because of the way the Agungs could be used. I could use my other creatures, and then once they were on the board, I could also then just lean into the Saurian and having them support Saurian's means and doing just great things. So kudos to this deck. It was fantastic, and I absolutely loved it. So that's going to do it for this week. Appreciate everyone who's been still supporting, leaving comments, letting me know what you think. Next month, I'm hoping to get into a better rhythm with making content. I know I've been really all over the place. This month, just as a reminder, is the last month of deck giveaways, which was done yesterday. And moving forward in May, there will be no more deck giveaways, but there will be some good content coming out. And if you wish to support me through Patreon and what I'm doing, I always appreciate it. And yeah, so thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in and all your support. Until next time, may your Ember never be stolen and your keys forged promptly. Have a good one.